Hello, right, I'm just going to show you a very quick idea that you can try, taking inspiration from the Spanish artist Juan Miro. He practiced something called automatic drawing, so it's basically like a free drawing, so you kind of just let the pen guide where you want to go, so you don't really consciously draw something. You're literally just doing a weird pattern. So to make it more interesting, I'm actually going to use my non-dominant hand and I'm going to close my eyes. So I'm just going to literally draw a weird and wonderful pattern. Hopefully I won't fall off the paper. So here goes, right. Closing my eyes. Oh, gone off the paper. Hopefully you can see this. You might not be able to, I don't know. So I'm going to probably do that. So it's a rather interesting, messy looking, like a 2-year-old's probably done it. But that's kind of what we're kind of going for. So a very sort of naive, primitive kind of painting. So just to show that up a bit, I think I'm going to take a black marker and just go over. I'm just going to sit down now. I'm just going to go over those marks exactly as they are. Sort of resist the urge to sort of make them a bit neater or change them to a more pleasing shape, because you really don't have to do that. This pen's a bit juddery for some reason. You could have gone straight in and done it with a pen actually. It'd probably have been a bit easier. Hindsight is a great thing, they say. So that went off the page like that, and then I must have started, not sure where I started. Maybe it was here. Whoops. I'm loosely going over the same marks, not quite, but never mind. And then I seem to have I think it went round like that for some reason. Okay, so I've got a bit of a crude blob kind of shape. But from that I'm going to try and make an abstract image that I'm happy with. So as I've got a roll of tape here, I think I might draw around it and just make a couple of circles. One there and maybe one there. I'll draw around the outside this time. So right, now what? So I'm going to have a look in my pencil case. So what have I got? Pencil. Maybe I'll get a couple of colours. Got a highlighter. See what else I've got in here. I've got some pastels here. Maybe I'll have a go with those. So these are just normal chalk pastels. So I think I'll start off with the pen, because if I start off with chalk and try and draw over it with pen, it's just not gonna, it's gonna mess my pens up. So I'm just randomly now just gonna colour in some of these segments. I'm not even colouring it in very neatly, but I mean, art's not always about doing something perfect, it's about experimenting. So don't always think you've got to be 100% happy with something, unless you're gonna, you're purposely trying to make something to put on the wall or to give to your grandma or something. You really don't have to worry about it, and you learn more from messing about than trying to copy, say, a perfect replica of the Mona Lisa or something. So this time I think I'm just going to scribble in this one. So he often experimented with mark making, so you could use different ways of making marks. So we could use pencil and then we could smudge it. I think this is a B pencil, so it's quite soft, so I can loosely colour that area in there and give it a bit of a smudge. I might do a bit of cross hatching, which is kind of like a crisscross type of shading technique, using my fingers just to butt up against that line. But don't think too much about it, literally just get some stuff out ready so you don't have to go looking for your crayons or whatever. Just get, you know, whatever you've got at home, pencils, pens, even if it's a biro or some kids' poster paints or whatever, just get them out and just have a play. So what else can I do? I might do, sometimes you might see shapes in it, so it almost looks like an eye and a weird nose there, like a weird blobby creature. So you can either go with that or just ignore it. So I think I'm going to go with a little bit of pastel this time. So pastels are quite good because you can cover a lot with a pastel. You can either leave it sort of rough and ready like that, or you can choose to sort of use your finger and do a bit of blending. If you don't want to get messy, obviously you could use a tissue or something, because pastels are rather messy. Oops, I'll put that in the wrong place. So I might try a bit of pink over here. I might leave that one rough. Maybe I'll choose brown. And just go with any colour that you take the fancy for. You know, don't worry about complementary colours, because as I said before, playing with colours that you perhaps wouldn't normally put together, you might surprise yourself and find that combination actually works quite well. So it's all about messy play today, I'm afraid. There we go. So, I mean, there's a bit left on my finger that I might just rub over here. And I could just mark there. What else? Right, I'm going to get some paint, I think. And a few oil pastels. So I don't know about you, but sometimes I've got quite a lot of art supplies, and sometimes I like the idea of, say, something like oil pastels, but you end up then being a bit scared to use them because you don't know what to do with them, or you're worried that if you try doing a drawing with them or a painting with them, that it's going to turn out rubbish. So it kind of puts you in that moment where you're stuck and you dare not start, and then you've got this really neat set of paints or pastels that you don't want to use because they look so nice and neat in the box. It's like one of those things that you have to sort of use them to learn how to use them. So you're not going to suddenly, like, for example, you're not going to suddenly buy a trumpet and then play a beautiful trumpet solo on it. You're going to make a bit of noise with it to start with, but until you've practiced and learned some technique, you're not going to be able to make music. So it's the same with art. You've got to practice and play with it and see what it does in order to perfect it. So it's quite a nice rich colour, this. I like that. So just enjoy the texture of and the feel of something. I mean, no one needs to know that you've been playing around and making a mess in your sketchbook or your journal. It doesn't matter, but you've learnt from it. Another good thing with oil pastels, you can scratch into it. So I'm going to use the end of my brush, do a bit of sgraffito, it's called. So I'm literally just going to scratch into it just to make a nice pattern. So all these techniques you might find useful when you are doing proper painting in the future. Or, you know, you might think, oh yeah, I can use that technique again for something. You know, it might be a few years later or whatever, but it's still worth having a go. Well, I've got some inexpensive watercolour paints here that I'm just going to have a little go with. So I think I'm just going to paint that there. You could also try like painting over different textures, so you could do some paint over pencil or paint over crayon or paint over oil pastel just to see what happens. So for example, I might just, I'm going to get a blue, I'm going to paint it over here, and I'm going to get a bit of blue watercolour and see what happens when I paint over it, because that might produce quite a nice texture for something. So it's kind of, you can kind of still see the texture of the pastel underneath, so that's quite nice effect. So let's try the same with an oil pastel. So let's find a different colour. I'll try green. Oops. So a bit of oil pastel there. I'm going to paint over it with maybe this yellow. So obviously the oil and the wax will kind of resist some of the paint, but it's actually producing quite a nice little effect there. Hopefully you can see that. Actually I quite like that. I might try that down here, so I might go for red again. So I'm going to colour it quite lightly this time. Because the wax will repel some of the paint, of course, so I might go with yellow again and just paint over it and see what happens. I might do that actually yellow just to contrast next to it. A bit more water. That's nice, I like that. So a couple more blocks to do. What shall I do with those? Let me think. I might try, I think I'm going to do some scribbles with a felt pen, and then I'm going to paint over that and see what happens. This is like a Sharpie marker, so it's like a permanent marker. If you use, say, like a normal felt pen, like a children's felt pen, that would probably be more water soluble, so I'd imagine that the pen would smudge, but I don't think it will with this, but let's try it anyway. So I'm going to go over it with orange and see what happens. Yeah, so because it's a Sharpie marker and it's permanent, it's keeping some of that nice pattern in the background, so that's quite nice, quite like that. Let's see what else we've got in my little pencil case. So we've got a highlighter here, so I think that's probably more like a normal pen. I'm going to do some stripes with that. And again, I think I might do yellow over the top. And it may or may not smudge. It's not smudged that much. The good thing about these art journals is it's got thick paper, so if you're doing this on a thin piece of paper, you might find it ripples a lot. I think to finish off, I think I might just add some black. So I'm going to use my brush just to give some black areas there. Gives it a bit of contrast. And those bits as well. So I'm not even worrying about, you know, doing it too neatly either. So it's like an experimental piece of work. And actually, just to carry that off, I think I might outline it in black. You don't have to do this, but I think it might just make the colours pop more. Okay, that'll do. So I might make some notes up here and just put experimental Juan Miro Inspired abstract automatic drawing. So hopefully you'll have fun with this one, and I look forward to seeing your paintings. Bye for now.